Hello, everyone. This is Anime Octopus. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today's fanfic topic is: what if Naruko were a young prodigy? Part 2. Disclaimer: the content on this channel is for entertainment and discussion purposes only. I do not own any of the anime footage used in my videos. All rights and credits go to their respective creators and copyright holders. Let's begin. This is likely the most uneventful day I've ever experienced, Koji murmured as he lay on the ground at the training ground he shared with Naruto, hands behind his head and eyes fixed on the clouds. Naruto, positioned similarly beside him, except with her right leg brought up and crossed over her knee, twitched slightly. How that position was comfortable for her, Koji could never comprehend. In the year he'd known her, however, he had come to understand that Naruto was nothing if not unpredictable and exceptionally flexible. By the gods, if this is the most bored you've ever been, Naruto laughed, casting a smirk at the older boy. He snorted and rolled his eyes at the comment on his laziness. He knew he wasn't the typical Uchiha, but he couldn't help it if he got bored easily. "What do you think about tomorrow?" she asked. "Do you think we'll be on the same team?" He grunted, and he heard the blonde exhale an exaggerated breath of frustration. Is that the only word you Uchiha know?" she grumbled. "Now, Naruto-chan, that's not fair," a familiar voice interjected. Sitting up, Naruto smiled at Itachi's arrival but frowned at the boy beside him. "Itachi-kun," she greeted, smiling. Then, frowning, she added, "duck butt." Sasuke's face darkened and turned a light shade of red in his anger and from semi-holding his breath. Itachi twitched slightly, holding back a chuckle at the nickname his newest friend had given his little brother. Koji didn't bother restraining his snicker, earning a glare from the younger Uchiha heir. "My name is Sasuke, not duck butt," he nearly snarled at the blonde in front of him. She made him so angry at times, and they didn't even know each other well. Maybe one reason she got under his skin was that she was his age, even a few months younger. Yet she had been to the academy and, from the shiny Hittite on her forehead, she'd graduated. She had accomplished what he wanted, while he was still stuck trying to prove to his father that he could be as good as Itachi. Not to mention he'd heard his mother talking recently. The Hokage had asked her to take up a long-term assignment, mostly inside the village. His father wasn't too fond of the idea if the arguments he'd heard the other night were any indication, but his mother was a stubborn woman. He didn't think she'd give up anytime soon. Maybe when you apologize to the ducks for stealing their hairstyle," Naruto retorted. Koji coughed, and Itachi had no choice but to bite the inside of his cheek. "Blonde witch," Sasuke muttered. Naruto barely caught it but only glared in retaliation. She didn't want to upset Itachi by attacking and possibly maiming his brother. A brother who was still a civilian and probably not a match for her, though she could be wrong. If he was anything like Itachi or most other Uchiha, he was bound to give her a run for her precious Gama-chan. Part of her wanted to challenge the team to a fight, but another part didn't think it was such a good idea or worth it in the end. "Team," she shot back without much thought. Itachi coughed and smirked slightly, placing a restraining and calming hand on his little brother's shoulder. "So, I see you've graduated. Congratulations, Naru-chan, Koji-kun." Koji nodded, smirking in a manner that Naruto perceived as a characteristic way the clan expressed themselves in each other's presence. She realized she had never seen a genuine smile on any Uchiha. The closest approximation came from Koji, and even his appeared somewhat forced, as though he were restraining himself. "Thank you, Itachi-san," Koji responded. "You actually graduated?" Sasuke remarked, looking at Naruto with a mix of disbelief, although he had already deduced her status from her headband. Naruto narrowed her eyes, crossing her arms as she stood up fully. She was only slightly shorter than Sasuke, allowing her to meet his gaze comfortably. "Yes, you didn't think I could?" she questioned. "You're probably the dead last," Sasuke said with a shrug. Naruto blinked, and Koji cringed when he noticed his friend beginning to tense and turn red. Sasuke was going to regret that comment. "Take that back," team. I am not the dead last, Databane. She shouted, causing Sasuke, Itachi, and Koji to cringe. Kami, did you have to shout so loudly, dead last? Sasuke retorted. Naruto's shoulders shook, but she suddenly sighed. I hate you, team, she said, almost emotionless. Sasuke looked at her, smirked, and snorted. I hate you too, dead last. Itachi sighed, shaking his head. Those two were either going to become best friends, marry one day, or kill each other. Perhaps all three at this rate. Then again, they might just end up killing each other if the metaphorical lightning between their glaring eyes was any indication. The day of team assignments arrived, and Naruto met Koji at their designated halfway point, continuing towards the academy together. Upon their arrival, it was evident that everyone else had the same idea, to get to the academy early to learn who their teammates would be. Sit down, everyone. Hiroshi-sensei commanded sharply as he entered the now noisy and active classroom. Within moments, the class settled down, acutely aware of the folly in testing Hiroshi-sensei's patience. His temper was infamous, and his methods of discipline were unconventional. Once, he had made a troublemaker run the perimeter of Konoha a dozen times, a distance that spanned several miles, exactly how many, no one cared to ascertain. Good. Now, I will start listing the teams and their Jonin senseis. You will meet them today, and they will take over from here. After today, I will no longer be your sensei. You will be Jonin of Konohagakure. I expect you to uphold that responsibility because once you become a Jonin, there are only two paths, promotion or failure. Hiroshi-sensei delivered these words with gravity, his gaze sweeping over the students without singling anyone out. After a moment, he nodded and glanced at the paper in his hands, which presumably listed each team. All right then, Team 2 is Yamanaka Jin, Aburame Hoshi. Naruto tuned out the rest, her mind wandering to thoughts of her team, her future sensei, and even her first jutsu. The jutsu in question was actually a continuation of her mother's technique, aiming to recreate her mother's chakra chains. The process was slow and intricate. The task seemed nearly impossible, considering her mother's special chains were akin to a bloodline trait. They required no hand signs and were fueled by sheer will and chakra. Despite this, Naruto knew they were not a true bloodline limit, merely unique to her mother. She was determined to succeed, driven by a desire to connect with her parents. Mastering a form of her mother's chakra chains, even if imperfect, became her new goal for the foreseeable future. Naruto returned to the present just in time to hear Hiroshi-sensei announce the next team. Team 7 will be Uchiha Koji, Uzumaki Naruto, and Inuzuka Kasumi. Your Jonin sensei will be Uchiha Mikoto. The reaction was immediate. Koji's head snapped up so quickly it seemed his neck might break. Naruto's jaw nearly dropped, but she composed herself, her eyes widening in surprise. The third member of Team 7, Inuzuka Kasumi, groaned, muttering under her breath, casting light glares at Naruto and curious looks at Koji. Her Ninken companion, a male puppy with strikingly bright blue eyes, seemed equally taken aback. Why do I have to be partnered with them, sensei? Kasumi finally shouted. It was no secret that Kasumi disliked Naruto, though the only reason Naruto could surmise was her victory over Kasumi in taijutsu nearly 6 months after starting at the academy. Naruto had gained proficiency in her clan styles, and she guessed she might have wounded Kasumi's pride. However, Kasumi hadn't seemed like such a sore loser, so Naruto could be mistaken about the true cause of the animosity. We typically assign the Rookie of the Year, the Kunoichi of the Year, and the Dead Last to a team. This year's batch of Jonin is somewhat unusual. Koji is the Rookie of the Year, and while Naruto is the Kunoichi of the Year, you are not technically the Dead Last, who has already been placed. However, your performance in written exams and other areas placed you close enough that you were teamed with those believed to help you improve the most, Hiroshi-sensei stated, shrugging. Kasumi flushed, lowering her head as Naruto heard a few snickers from those around them. Koji sighed, contemplating how he would manage surrounded by so many females, given Naruto's already moody nature. A few moments later, the new Jinan team stood waiting for their sensei. Soon, only Team 7 and Team 4 remained. "So, our sensei? She's part of your clan?" Naruto asked, looking at her friend, while Kasumi observed her new teammates, intrigued by what would be said. Koji responded, as a blonde man, though not quite the same shade or brightness as Naruto, arrived for Team 4. "She's the wife of the clan head. She's Itachi and Sasuke's mother." Naruto's eyes widened, and Kasumi blinked, not fully understanding who Itachi or Sasuke were. However, she did understand the first part. She herself was from the branch family, for lack of a better term, of the Inuzuka clan, her mother having married into the clan. This was the main reason her sense of smell wasn't quite on par with other Inuzuka clan members. Though only slightly diminished, her sense of smell was still strong. Additionally, she was still young, considered a pup by her clan's standards until she hit puberty, which meant her senses were naturally less developed. "I'm glad to see you three getting along," a sudden voice interrupted them. Looking up, they saw a woman in her early to mid-30s, possibly late 20s, though considering she had 2 children, the latter seemed unlikely. She was fair-skinned, with a kindness about her, unusual for most Uchiha in Naruto's opinion, but also exuded a firm seriousness. Her black hair was long, pulled back into a low ponytail with long bangs framing her cheeks, and her black eyes bore a striking resemblance to Sasuke. It was easy to see the similarities they shared, such as their hair and skin color. She donned a sleeveless, dark blue, high-collared Chinese-style battle dress paired with black biker shorts, barely visible beneath the thigh-length attire. The ensemble featured red edging in the Uchiha clan symbol on the left collarbone area, above the heart. Her arms were adorned with black, forearm-length fingerless gloves, reinforced with metal plates sewn into the back from the knuckles to the wrist. She wore black shinobi sandals, and her ankles to shins were wrapped in bandages. Her hitai 8, slightly askew, rested loosely on her slim waist, showcasing the metal plate with the leaf symbol. A black hip pouch was fastened towards the back of her left side, mirroring the position of her forehead protector. Around her left thigh, bandages and a black shuriken holster were secured, akin to the ones Naruto wore on her right thigh. "Mikoto-sama," Koji said, bowing respectfully. Naruto smiled and followed suit, while Kasumi blinked and then shrugged before bowing as well. Mizmaru softly barked in greeting. Mikoto chuckled and smiled warmly at her team. It had been years since she had undertaken any mission, having retired after the birth of Itachi. Yet, as she had told Fugaku, the Hokage could summon her from retirement at any time. Usually, this happened during wars when shinobi were in high demand, but this year there was a surprising scarcity of Jonin willing to take on a team. Thus, the Hokage turned to retired Jonin, with Mikoto being his first choice due to the presence of an Uchiha on the team and the potential utility of her Sharingan in training Koji. Mikoto herself rarely used her bloodline abilities, preferring to earn her skills through hard work. She viewed the Sharingan as more of a burden than a gift, an easy shortcut that she avoided unless faced with life or death situations. As she observed her new team, she felt a wave of nostalgia, recalling her own time as a Jinan. Her gaze lingered on the youngest member, a sunset-haired girl the same age as her youngest son. The girl, with her whiskered cheeks and large cerulean eyes, was the spitting image of her parents. Her hair, reaching her shoulder blades, was slightly messy but far more tamed than it had been when shorter and spikier, resembling her father's. Now, she looked like a little girl, a striking blend of Kushina and Minato. Mikoto and Kushina had been close friends, being around the same age, despite Mikoto's husband Fugaku being older and not part of their Jinan year. Mikoto had been on the same team as Minato, the former Team 7. She had been somewhat sullen back then, as her parents had arranged her marriage into the main branch of the Uchiha clan, leading her to marry Fugaku, who would become the clan head by the time they had Itachi. Although their marriage had not started with love, she and Fugaku eventually found love together, despite his often challenging demeanor. Mikoto reminisced about a young girl named Naruto. She remembered the commotion caused by Naruto's friendship with Koji, Shisui's younger brother, a year prior. Initially met with disapproval, Naruto's integration into their social circle soon became commonplace. Even Fugaku didn't show concern when it became known that Itachi and Shisui were also friends with Naruto. He even found amusement in Sasuke's determination to surpass Naruto in shinobi skills. Reflecting on past conversations with Kushina, Mikoto had hoped for Sasuke and Naruto to be close friends and potentially teammates in the future. However, observing their current dynamic, she mused that their constant bickering hindered that possibility. Regarding Koji, Mikoto knew him casually, noting his distinct appearance within the Uchiha clan due to his dark gray eyes, a departure from the typical black Uchiha eyes. Another surprising encounter was with a girl accompanying Naruto who initially resembled Nohara Rin. Upon closer observation, Mikoto noticed significant differences. This girl had long, choppy dark crimson hair, with a single spiked bang falling over her forehead protector. Red fang birthmarks adorned her cheeks, indicative of the Inuzuka clan. Her sharp burgundy eyes, almost bordering on purple, added to her unique appearance. By her side stood a medium-sized canine with golden brown fur accented by white patches on its paws and ears, while its eyes gleamed in a unique aqua blue hue. "Please address me as Mikoto-sensei during our training sessions," Mikoto finally spoke, emerging from her contemplative state after what seemed like an eternity. The trio of Shinon nodded in acknowledgement, prompting Mikoto to take a deep breath before affirming her resolve. "Now, let's proceed towards the Hokage monument. This will be our rendezvous point unless specified otherwise," Mikoto directed as she turned towards the exit, confident that her team would follow suit without needing to look back. Upon reaching the base of the Grand Monument, which offered a secluded ambience, Mikoto settled under the shade of one of the few sizable trees in the vicinity and focused her attention on the three young ninja before her. "Take a seat. Today, we'll begin with self-introductions," she instructed, and the Shinon complied without hesitation. "I'll lead by example." After a brief pause for reflection, Mikoto commenced, "I am Uchiha Mikoto, a mother to two sons, Itachi and Sasuke. Prior to these recent days, I served as a retired Jonin and managed domestic responsibilities. The Hokage has reinstated me as your Jonin sensei. My interests are varied, with family time ranking highest. I value diligence and determination, disliking shortcuts and those who underestimate their capabilities." Gesturing towards Kasumi, Mikoto prompted, "Next, Kasumi," followed by Naruto and Koji. Kasumi took a deep breath and began, "I'm Inuzuka Kasumi, partnered with Mijmaru. I'm the elder twin of Kaisei, who unfortunately didn't pass the recent exam." Her tone carried a tinge of melancholy. "I enjoy stargazing, assisting in the kennels, and training with Mijmaru. Cruelty towards animals, especially dogs, and ostentatious behavior are among my dislikes." Mikoto nodded in acknowledgement and turned her attention to Naruto. "I am Uzumaki Naruto, the youngest among us. Living independently, I represent the last of my clan. I have a penchant for ramen, red bean soup, training, and orange juice, while I disdain milk and raw vegetables. Unjust discrimination and baseless prejudices are what I detest. My aspiration is to prove my worth and perhaps become the first female Hokage one day, Databane." Naruto exclaimed with a confident grin reminiscent of her parents. Mikoto couldn't help but notice the striking resemblance to Naruto's parents, embodying the best of both with a hint of Kushina's fiery spirit. I'm Uchiha Koji, sibling to Shisui. I find solace in relaxation, sushi, training, and swimming. Conversely, I dislike ice cream, peppers, and individuals who rely on their lineage as a means to entitlement," Koji stated with a hint of disdain. Mikoto smiled warmly before assuming a more serious demeanor. "Excellent. I look forward to guiding your growth, provided you pass tomorrow's test," she announced, relishing the surprise evident on their faces. "What?" they exclaimed in unison, prompting a short laugh from Mikoto. It's a common occurrence that only a few teams pass the assessments set by their Jonin instructors. The Academy's examination primarily distinguishes those ready to advance to Junon from those who require further training within the Academy. The true evaluation will commence tomorrow. What kind of assessment is it, sensei? Naruto inquired, a slight furrow in her brow. It's essentially a survival assessment, she replied. I anticipate all of you to be at training ground 5 by 8 tomorrow morning. Whether you choose to have breakfast is at your discretion. That will be all for today. With a nod, Mikoto vanished in a swirl of leaves. That was unexpected, Naruto remarked. I didn't anticipate her being our instructor. Kasumi looked puzzled. What do you mean by that, Uzumaki? Kasumi questioned. Naruto blinked. My name is Naruto. While I don't mind if you call me by it, I hope we can establish a friendly rapport, Naruto said, furrowing her brow. Considering we'll be teammates, I didn't intend any negativity. In fact, I'm quite excited. Mikoto-sensei appears to be an excellent instructor. Koji acknowledged. Kasumi glanced between the two and then at Mizmaru, who barked in agreement with Naruto. All right, she acquiesced. We can give it a try. I need to head home now. I'll see you both tomorrow. With a wave, Kasumi dashed off with Mizmaru, leaving Koji and Naruto to head towards the village center. Things are about to get interesting, Koji remarked with a smile. Naruto chuckled and nodded. Absolutely. Mikoto arrived promptly at the training ground at 8 o'clock and found her team waiting patiently. She immediately noticed a decrease in tension between Kasumi and Naruto compared to the previous day, which gave her hope that they might pass her test. Earlier, she had set up a few traps for the test and had 2 bells hanging from her waist. Initially, she had contemplated giving them the bell test, the same challenge her own sensei had given her and her Jinan team. This test had a historical significance, having been passed down from the 3rd Hokage sensei to Jiraiya, then to Minato, and potentially to Hatake Kakashi in the future. Given her connection to Team Jiraiya, she felt it fitting for this new Team 7 generation to face a similar trial. While the test emphasized survival and teamwork rather than just skill, the bells remained a crucial aspect. The Jinan would need to retrieve them from her as the final part of the test, which she wouldn't make easy for them. She believed in the value of hard work and was confident that with the right motivation, this team could excel and become one of the best among this year's Jinan. I trust you all had a good night's rest. You'll need your energy, she began as she sat on a tree stump in the cleared area, taking out the 2 bells from her side. Yes, sensei, Kasumi replied, with Mizmaru attentive beside her. Although they appeared ready, the real challenge awaited them after she explained the test's rules and conditions. Excellent, Mikoto continued, displaying the bells on a blue string. This is your objective. The Jinan looked puzzled. These are bells, sensei, Naruto pointed out. What are we supposed to do with them? Mikoto smiled slightly. Indeed, it's quite simple, she explained, closing her hand around the bells and lowering it. Your task is to retrieve these bells from me. Consider it a recon and retrieval mission. You must work together to acquire them safely. The one who fails will return to the academy. Additionally, approach me with the intent to overcome. That is, when you locate me. Huh? Kasumi exclaimed, confused. Locate you? But you're right here, sensei. Koji observed their sensei calmly until realization dawned on him, causing him to straighten up. No, she isn't, he stated. With a smirk, Mikoto vanished in a puff of smoke. Naruto muttered under her breath, shadow clone. Kasumi glanced at her 2 teammates with a hint of surprise in her expression. Shadow clone, but... Her voice trailed off momentarily, and then she shook her head. Let's focus, Mizmaru. We need to retrieve those bells. Naruto, wait, Naruto began, but before he could finish, the crimson-haired girl and her partner had already disappeared. We shouldn't underestimate what our sensei has prepared for us out there, he muttered to himself. Koji nodded in agreement, hands tucked into his pockets. Indeed, facing a Jonin alone is a risky move, especially for Jinan like us. Collaboration is our best bet, he remarked, letting out a sigh. I'll deploy some Raten Cage Bunshine to gather intelligence and locate Kasumi and Mijmaru. Kasumi can handle herself quite well, albeit a bit impulsive, Naruto explained, forming the necessary seals to create 10 Raten Cage Bunshine. Koji chuckled lightly. Coming from you, that's saying something, he teased good-naturedly. Naruto shot him a playful glare before issuing orders to her clones. Split up, gather information, and disperse if you encounter anything significant. If you detect a trap, trigger it and disperse accordingly. One of you needs to find Kasumi without direct contact, we'll assess the situation from there, she instructed, receiving a nod of agreement from Koji. Understood, the Bunshines acknowledged before dispersing on their respective tasks. We'll have to wait and see, Koji remarked, taking a seat on a nearby tree stump. Naruto sighed, acknowledging that waiting was their only option at the moment. Mikoto stood poised on a sturdy tree branch, scanning the area for any activity. Two figures remained visible in the training clearing, and she frowned slightly. She had observed Kasumi's solo departure with Mijmaru, though not entirely unexpected given their personalities. Leaning against the tree trunk, she watched as Kasumi approached swiftly, trailed by a shadowy figure. Naruto. Mikoto's smirk widened subtly. Chip off the old block, she mused to herself. Realization dawned as she noted Naruto's use of a solid Bunshine technique, distinct from the standard clones. Reviewing academy records and examination reports, Mikoto recalled Naruto's marginal success with Bunshine creations, mostly imperfect replicas. Kasumi triggered one of Mikoto's traps, impressively evading the Senbon projectiles launched at her. Yet, the torn sleeves hinted at close calls, possibly grazing her skin. Any sign of her, Mijmaru? Kasumi inquired, prompting her canine companion to track the scent. Mikoto swiftly retrieved a smoke bomb, concealing her position as she relocated nearer to the training grounds clearing where their paths intersected. Naruto informed us that she had encountered a scented smoke bomb, likely deployed by Sensei to obscure their movements from Mijmaru, Naruto relayed as her clones dissipated. The intel, albeit not as precise as a genuine Cage Bunshines, was sufficient, and she had gathered the necessary information. Most of the traps her clones stumbled upon had been triggered, leaving the majority of the area unguarded. The actual number of traps set by Mikoto Sensei remained uncertain. I will retrieve her, Koji stated. Stay nearby and be prepared to intercept Mikoto Sensei. She has limited places to conceal herself. Naruto acknowledged with a nod and provided Koji with directions to locate Kasumi. Once he was out of sight, she scanned the vicinity and created 3 additional Raten Cage Bunshine to scout nearby areas. Shortly after, one clone dissipated after spotting Mikoto. Naruto summoned another clone and instructed it to maintain position while she proceeded towards Mikoto Sensei's last known location to engage her in combat, intending to provide a distraction for Koji and Kasumi to obtain crucial information from the clone she had left behind. She frowned as the other 2 clones dispersed, causing a slight disruption in her focus. Where could she be? Naruto muttered to herself, surveying her surroundings. While she knew Mikoto was present, the information gathered was not as precise as that provided by a Cage Bunshine. Above you, a voice announced, prompting Naruto to leap backward to avoid an attack. Impressive speed. Mikoto executed a modified version of the Uchiha's Interceptor Fist, a technique she had adapted for her own combat style to avoid predictability. Let's start with taijutsu, she declared, observing Naruto's relaxed yet alert stance, reminiscent of Kushina's style. If Naruto was learning this, then she must have accessed the family scrolls entrusted by Sarutobi, containing Kushina and Minato's techniques. While Naruto hadn't fully mastered the style, Mikoto remained cautious. All right, Naruto murmured, opting to initiate the first strike. Mikoto deflected a knife strike with her steel-plated gloves, evading an open palm strike aimed at her abdomen. Seizing Naruto's extended hand, Mikoto threw her several feet away into a tree. As Naruto swiftly recovered and resumed the fight, Mikoto acknowledged her potential, recognizing her speed, agility, flexibility, and remarkable stamina inherited from Kushina. With further training, Naruto would undoubtedly become a formidable hand-to-hand combatant. The girl's intelligence and family heritage greatly contributed to her fighting style. She recognized moves that were not typical of Kushina but reminiscent of Minato's, blended with the Uzumaki style. Barely evading those attacks was possible thanks to her swift substitution technique, kawarimi. The effectiveness of a well-executed kawarimi maneuver is often underestimated. Katen, Gokaku no Jutsu, fire release, great fireball technique, she exclaimed. Mikito's eyes widened as she deflected Naruto's punch and leapt into a nearby tree to avoid the intense blaze. Naruto, too, swiftly moved aside, anticipating an attack from Koji, who had approached from behind. Kasumi stood by Koji's side, prepared to strike as directed by Mizmaru. Mikito smiled, recognizing a strategic move. Naruto had used her taijutsu as a diversion, aware that despite Mikito's superior experience, she would prefer to test Naruto's abilities first. Well played, Mikito remarked as she descended, positioning herself between the three genin. Now, on to lesson 2, ninjutsu. Wow, she's incredibly fast, Kasumi marveled as Mikito swiftly weaved hand seals. Oh, Koji exclaimed, recognizing the jutsu, a technique he had seen Shisui perform. We need to move. Katen, Karyuenden, fire release, fire dragon flame bullet. Mikito exhaled, unleashing a powerful flame that dwarfed Koji's previous attempt. She had intentionally amplified its intensity, knowing Koji had whisked away Mizmaru and Kasumi to safety. Had it connected, the consequences could have been dire. Wind release, twister shot. Naruto called out after completing the necessary hand seals. This wind jutsu, aside from her clones, was one of the few techniques she had mastered from her father's scrolls, requiring months of dedicated practice to control effectively. Mikito was taken aback to see the swirling wind heading her way. Even with how much chakra Naruto had, it should have been impossible for her to do such a jutsu. Then again, no normal genin knew any other clone besides the basic Bunshin no Jutsu either. As she jumped back to avoid it, she felt something snag at her side, and saw Mizmaru darting off back towards Kasumi. The jingling of bells making her smile as she avoided the twister-like wind jutsu. Once the jutsu dissipated, she took a deep breath and smiled satisfactorily, placing her hands on her hips. She was impressed by their performance. Having observed Koji and Naruto, both exhibited at least one remarkably impressive jutsu, with Koji's being somewhat expected due to his early mastery of a common Uchiha fire jutsu. However, Naruto's jutsu came as a surprise, considering his age. Acknowledging Naruto's substantial chakra reserves, reminiscent of her mother's abilities in her youth if not surpassing them, Mikito noted that Naruto was among the youngest genin to graduate outside of wartime. As for Kasumi, Mikito hadn't fully witnessed the extent of her skills but speculated that without her canine companion, she might face greater challenges, possibly excelling more in tracking missions. Beyond the Inuzuka clan techniques, Kasumi showed potential as a medic nin, especially considering her lineage through her aunt, Nohara Rin, who was renowned for her medical prowess. Mikito believed it wise for Kasumi to explore medical ninjutsu in the future, alongside improving her teamwork beyond Mizmaru and expanding her knowledge of ninjutsu and taijutsu. I'm impressed. We didn't cover genjutsu in our last lesson, but we can delve into that another time. I'm sure you three must be hungry, Mikito remarked, prompting 3 audible stomach growls, notably Kasumi's being the loudest, indicating she likely hadn't eaten that morning. Concerning the test's outcome, Kasumi inquired about their performance, holding up the bells she had acquired. Mikito posed a question regarding who deserved the bells, observing Kasumi's realization and subsequent dilemma as she glanced at her teammates and then at Mizmaru. Initially contemplating keeping a bell herself and awarding the other to a teammate, Kasumi ultimately decided against it, acknowledging Naruto's pivotal role in the distractions and gathering crucial information, Koji's contribution as the secondary distraction and executing the sneak attack, and Mizmaru's success in obtaining the bells. Kasumi humbly suggested that if anyone were to return to the academy, it should be her and Mizmaru. Mikito's grin widened as she delivered the verdict. Excellent. You all have passed. Naruto and Koji's smiles indicated their understanding that this was the final phase of the test. Kasumi, taken aback, sought clarification. Really? Mikoto nodded affirmatively. The examination primarily focused on collaborative efforts and individual competencies, akin to a reconnaissance and retrieval exercise. While your direct involvement may have been limited, your role within the team is indispensable. Moving forward, our training will address areas requiring improvement, such as enhancing your combat readiness even if separated from Mizmaru. However, detailed discussions on this matter can wait. For now, it's prudent to proceed to lunch. The trio of newly minted Genin trailed their instructor back to the village, each showing signs of fatigue in their own way. Naruto, too, felt the test toll, the final jutsu demanding more control than she cared to admit, compounded by her ongoing struggles with chakra manipulation despite prior training efforts. Nonetheless, we are now official Genin, Naruto remarked with a smile, echoed by Mizmaru's joyous bark and Kasumi's grin. Koji responded with a subtle smile of his own. Let's celebrate with lunch, suggested Kasumi. What's your preference? Koji expressed reluctance, while Naruto's enthusiasm for ramen was palpable as she darted towards Ichiraku's. Ramen? She exclaimed, prompting Kasumi's surprise and Koji's resigned reaction. We should catch up before she gets too far ahead, Koji advised, leading the way with Kasumi in tow. She couldn't shake the feeling that letting them choose their meal might have been an oversight. As for this segment, that's all for now. Please consider subscribing to my channel, Anime Octopus, for more content. Thank you.